Hi there, my name's Callum Harvey, and today I'll be pitching the beta version of Versus Game Freak, a political economic analysis of Pokemon. Despite being the beta version of the project, I'm treating this more as a research update, owing to the nature of what my final digital artifact will be. As indicated in my initial pitch, link in the description, my digital artifact concept revolves around a political economic analysis of the Pokemon JRPG series, with a particular focus on the impact of developer Game Freak's decision to not include every existing Pokemon in the upcoming Pokemon Sword and Shield, a first in the history of the series on Nintendo handheld consoles. It's a topic I feel fairly strongly about. The series was a constant presence in my childhood and continues to be one of my hobbies as an adult, a common feature for many members of the Pokemon community. Naturally, this affected my initial pitch. I struggled to reconcile the political economy dimension, which concerns the ownership of the franchise, with how Pokemon is related to identity and meaning-making, which is a far more post-structuralist idea. As for my delivery, I was advised in comments that perhaps the project could be broken down into multiple pieces rather than a large Adobe Spark piece, to increase engagement and feedback potential. I respectfully disagree. There's serious potential for engagement to drop off instead afterwards, and it doesn't really fit with the model for long-term analytical essays on sites such as Gizmodo, Kotaku, and the ABC's Four Corners. So, while I'm staying the course on the format, I have made a few changes to the theoretical component underpinning everything. After consulting with Chris, here's what I came up with in terms of a theoretical framework. Political economy remains the central analytical lens, concerning who owns the series. The focus I'm looking at is a form of technological determinism within political economy, specifically a critique of the idea that technological change forces social change, with the society in question being Pokemon's player base. However, to account for the post-structuralist focus that any analysis of community outrage or response will necessitate, I've elected to bring in a post-structuralist examination of nostalgia, as the second dimension of the analysis, to reconcile notions of financial and cultural capital. If a user contributes to the fanbase and increases the value of a product on an investor's balance sheet, then surely they have a degree of ownership too, right? The final dimension, temporality and technical strata, goes back to the impact of changing times. How has the increasingly lucrative mobile gaming market, such as with Pokemon Go, changed the nature of Pokemon games on Nintendo handheld and cultural systems? Is this affecting the businesses that get a seat at the table here? Pokemon as a property is owned by the series publisher Nintendo, developer Game Freak, and VFX developer Creatures, through the Pokemon Company International, a joint holding company. Yet Pokemon Go is developed by Niantic, and other Nintendo mobile properties are developed by DNA. There's a lot to unpack here. The research structure of the project really hasn't changed. I'm gaining my political economy and technical strata information from publicly available financial records and databases. I'm also undertaking some academic research into the nature of Pokemon as an identity construct, as well as the role of nostalgia, and I had the pleasure to interview my partner, who has played the franchise for a greater part of her life than anyone I've met so far in the community, so this will factor into the final narrative as well. To better gauge Nintendo's business strategy, I've also read through Blake J. Harris's book Console Wars, a narrative account of Sega and Nintendo's business war in the 1990s. A final quirk has been my research into nostalgia. I found a case study examining the role of nostalgia in determining tourism and development policy in rural China, of all places. This paper surprisingly seemed to encapsulate everything about how the Pokemon village seems to be feeling, now that capitalization has dented their feelings of belonging somewhat. A major focal point of anger amongst the community regarding the omission of a national Pokédex has been the fact that one can no longer catch 'em all, the series' central motto and description of its gameplay loop. To examine a bit more in depth the impact this would have on the competitive battling community, I had intended to interview a staff member of Smogon University, a major operator of third-party Pokemon battling tournaments. When this was unsuccessful, I tried a different tack of going straight to the users on r/Stunfisk, a competitive battling subreddit, asking them how they felt and what the implications were. This post blew up. It got to the top of the subreddit in a couple of hours and has allowed me to cut back drastically on other fieldwork because of the degree of detail in the responses. This was posted on Monday the 17th of September, and after a few days I'm still overwhelmed with detailed data. This is amazing. So, here's where the project stands, still running nicely on schedule. See you online.